Top 97 Thomas Hobbes quotes. Life in the state of nature is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Curiosity is the lust of the mind. Hell is truth seen too late. The law is the public conscience. Reason is the soul of the law. Leisure is the mother of philosophy. Covenants without swords are but words. The first and fundamental law of nature, which is, to seek peace and follow it. When a man tells me God hath spoken in a dream, I know he dreamt that God spoke to him. I am about to take my last voyage, a great leap in the dark. Prudence is a presumption of the future, contracted from the experience of time past. It is not wisdom but authority that makes a law. There is no such thing as perpetual tranquility of mind while we live here, because life itself is but motion, and can never be without desire, nor without fear, no more than without sense. When all the world is overcharged with inhabitants, then the last remedy of all is war, which provideth for every man, by victory or death. Unnecessary laws are not good laws, but traps for money. To this war of every man against every man, this also inconsequent, that nothing can be unjust. The notions of right and wrong, justice and injustice have there no place. Where there is no common power, there is no law, where no law, no injustice. Force and fraud are in war the cardinal virtues. During the time men live without a common power to keep them all in awe, they are in that conditions called war, and such a war, as if of every man against every man. The object of man's desire is not to enjoy once only, and for one instant of time, but to assure forever the way of his future desires. A democracy is no more than an aristocracy of orators. The people are so readily moved by demagogues that control must be exercised by the government over speech and press. Humans are driven by a perpetual and restless desire of power. If men are naturally in a state of war, why do they always carry arms, and why do they have keys to lock their doors? Such is the nature of men, that howsoever they may acknowledge many others to be more witty, or more eloquent, or more learned, yet they will hardly believe there be many so wise as themselves. If I read as many books as most men do, I would be as dull-witted as they are. The passions of men are commonly more potent than their reason. The world is governed by opinion. Force and fraud are in war the two cardinal virtues. Ambition and covetousness are passions that are perpetually incumbent and pressing. Man is distinguished not only by his reason, but also by this singular passion from all other animals. A free man is he that, in those things which by his strength and wit he is able to do, is not hindered to do what he has a will to. All men, among themselves, are by nature equal. The inequality we now discern hath its spring from the civil law. It's my turn to take a leap into the darkness. Words are the counters of wise men, and the money of fools. Where there is no common power, there is no law. The secret thoughts of a man run over all things, holy, profane, clean, obscene, grave, and light, without shame or blame. Corporations are made lesser commonwealths in the bowels of a greater, like worms in the entrails of a natural man. I put for the general inclination of all mankind a perpetual and restless desire of power after power, that saith only in death. Curiosity draws a man from consideration of the effect to seek the cause. Geometry is the only science that it hath pleased God hitherto to bestow on mankind. Baptism is the sacrament of allegiance of them that are to be received into the kingdom of God, that is to say, into eternal life, that is to say, to remission of sin. For as eternal life was lost by the committing, so it is recovered by the remitting of men's sins. For it is not the shape, but their use, that makes them angels. A covenant not to defend myself from force, by force, is always void. Thoughts are to the desires as scouts and spies, to range abroad, and find the way to the things desired. Moral philosophy is nothing else but the science of what is good and evil in the conversation and society of mankind. Good and evil are names that signify our appetites and aversions, which in different tempers, customs, and doctrines of men are different. It's not the pace of life I mind. It's the sudden stop at the end. Desire to know why and how, curiosity, which is a lust of the mind, that a perseverance of delight in the continued and indefatigable generation of knowledge exceedeth the short vehemence of any carnal pleasure. The present only has a being in nature, things past have a being in the memory only, but things to come have no being at all, the future but a fiction of the mind. To speak impartially, both sayings are very true, that man to man is a kind of God, and that man to man is an errant wolf. The first is true, if we compare citizens amongst themselves, and the second, if we compare cities. The value or worth of a man is, as of all other things, his price, that is to say, so much as would be given for the use of his power. Fear of things invisible is the natural seed of that which everyone in himself calleth religion. For to accuse requires less eloquence, such is man's nature, than to excuse, and condemnation than absolution, more resembles justice. The papacy is not other than the ghost of the deceased Roman Empire, sitting crowned upon the grave thereof. Silence is sometimes an argument of consent. Science is the knowledge of consequences and dependence of one fact upon another. The power of a man is his present means to obtain some future apparent good. Felicity is a continual progress of the desire from one object to another, the attaining of the former being still but the way to the latter. Sudden glory is the passion which mocketh those grimaces called laughter. Obligation is thraldom, and thraldom is hateful. Life is nasty, brutish, and short. I think, therefore matter is capable of thinking. Wisdom, properly so called, is nothing else but this, the perfect knowledge of the truth in all matters whatsoever. War consisteth not in battle only, or the act of fighting, but in a tract of time, wherein the will to contend by battle is sufficiently known. In a democracy, look how many demagogues, that is, how many powerful orators there are with the people. The science which teacheth arts and handicrafts is merely science for the gaining of a living, but the science which teacheth deliverance from worldly existence, is not that the true science? Desire of praise disposeth to laudable actions. For if all things were equally in all men, nothing would be prized. Competition of praise inclineth to a reverence of antiquity. For men contend with the living, not with the dead. Words are wise men's counters, they do but reckon by them, but they are the money of fools, that value them by the authority of an Aristotle, a Cicero, or a Thomas, or any other doctor whatsoever, if but a man. Whatsoever is the object of any man's appetite or desire, that is it which he for his part calleth good, and the object of his hate and aversion evil. For it can never be that war shall preserve life, and peace destroy it. It is fairer to tax people on what they extract from the economy, as roughly measured by their consumption, than to tax them on what they produce for the economy, as roughly measured by their income. True and false are attributes of speech, not of things. And where speech is not, there is neither truth nor falsehood. Error there may be, as when we expect that which shall not be, or suspect what has not been. But in neither case can a man be charged with untruth. True and false are attributes of speech, not of things. And where speech is not, there is neither truth nor falsehood. For as to the strength of body, the weakest has strength enough to kill the strongest, either by secret machination or by confederacy with others that are in the same danger with himself. The reputation of power is power. Appetite, with an opinion of attaining, is called hope, the same, without such opinion, despair. Opinion of ghosts, ignorance of second causes, devotion to what men fear, and talking of things casual for prognostics, consisteth the natural seeds of religion. Fear of power invisible, feigned by the mind or imagined from tales publicly allowed, is religion, not allowed superstition. If any two men desire the same thing, which nevertheless they cannot both enjoy, they become enemies. The disembodied spirit is immortal, there is nothing of it that can grow old or die. But the embodied spirit sees death on the horizon as soon as its day dawns. The register of knowledge of fact is called history. There are very few so foolish that they had not rather govern themselves than be governed by others. This is that law of the gospel, whatsoever you require that others should do to you, that do ye to them. Passions unguided are for the most part mere madness. Corporations are worms in the body politic. Science is the knowledge of consequences and dependence of one fact upon another, by which, out of that we can presently do, we know how to do something else when we will, or the like, another time. The oath adds nothing to the obligation. For a covenant, if lawful, binds in the sight of God, without the oath, as much as with it, if unlawful, bindeth not at all, though it be confirmed with an oath. Respice finum, that is to say, in all your actions, look often upon what you would have, as the thing that directs all your thoughts in the way to attain it. There is no such thing as perpetual tranquility of mind while we live here. So easy are men to be drawn to believe anything from such men as have gotten credit with them, and can with gentleness and dexterity take hold of their fear and ignorance. The interpretation of the laws of nature in a commonwealth dependeth not on the books of moral philosophy. The authority of writers, without the authority of the commonwealth, mocketh not their opinions law, be they never so true. I often observe the absurdity of dreams, but never dream of the absurdity of my waking thoughts. Because silver and gold have their value from the matter itself, they have first this privilege, that the value of them cannot be altered by the power of one, nor of a few commonwealths, as being a common measure of the commodities of all places. But base money may easily be enhanced or abased. Intemperance is naturally punished with diseases, rashness, with mischance, injustice, with violence of enemies, pride, with ruin, cowardice, with oppression and rebellion, with slaughter. The privilege of absurdity, to which no living creature is subject, but man only. Prudence is but experience, which equal time equally bestows on all men in those things they equally apply themselves unto. He that is taken and put into prison or chains is not conquered, though overcome, for he is still an enemy. If I had read as much as other men, I would have known no more than they.